All right, let's just run down the list.
Okay.
Because we're too tired because we just got back and it's 1 a.m. All right, American Horror Story.
I liked it, but I've also watched some of the shows. It wasn't a bad house. The characters were pretty accurate. If you watch a show, I think you'll find it's a pretty good house.
I've never watched the show, but it was all right for what it was. I mean, I really don't have any context to really judge it.
The clown character was good. He got me quite a few times.
Yeah. I mean, the set design was pretty good on all of them. All the props looked really good. Everything looked accurate from the promo material I had seen from the show. So if you're a fan of it, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I think they tried to fit in as much as they can because every scene changed pretty dramatically. It looked like they tried to fit in all parts of each season of the 3 from Murder House, Freak Show, and Hotel. So that one's a thumbs up.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, definitely, I say 2 thumbs up for sure.
It starts, you enter the Sawyer house, and pretty much the first thing you see is that iconic scene from Texas Chainsaw Massacre where Leatherface smacks the guy in the face with a hammer and shuts the steel door. You pretty much see most of the Sawyer house with the exception of the attic. It's a really brief house in itself, but you do get maybe about 10 to 15 Leatherfaces. Yeah,
I mean, being chased by Leatherface throughout a house and being chased by chainsaws continuously, it's a win-win situation. You just can't go wrong.
Next is the Walking Dead house, which I'd say is probably their best attraction.
Definitely.
From what we've seen when we've covered the previous Halloween Horror Nights is they usually tried to fit everything from one season in each house, and this time they pretty much took you from the end of the second the end of the second season, where Dale's RV is overrun, all the way through the fall of Alexandria. So you get non-stop, like the best of all those seasons. There's not a dead area in the house where you're just walking down a corridor with nothing happening. Everything is in your face the entire time. There is no breathing room.
Well, and 2 years ago, it was also just a scare zone, so it was kind of pointless because it wasn't even a focus. It was just lost. And this year, the house was just phenomenal, in my opinion. It was a house not to be missed. They did a really great job.
The Exorcist which is actually the last house that we saw on our tour. It's just the first Exorcist movie. That's all it is. And some of the best things they did is they made use of the space, since Exorcist more or less the majority of the film takes place in Reagan's bedroom. You have to kind of expand on that, and the first thing you walk into, you are pretty much walking into the poster of the movie. The lighting is done really well, and when you enter Reagan's house, you're going down a corridor which looks like a normal corridor. There's nothing happening, and then the lighting on the scrim changes, and all of a sudden you see this devastation. You see several statues of Pazuzu. So they tried to make the most out of the few scenes from the movie that you could actually make a haunted house out of. And that means, but you also go into the bedroom several times throughout the maze. So you kind of do see the same scene over and over again, just with a different version of Reagan.
From different points of view.
From different points of view. And there is a lot of pea soup.
It was
very pungent.
Very pungent, and a lot of ducking going on. It was very awesome, but very pungent. They did a great job with that.
So, a thumbs up for that one.
Definitely.
Next is Halloween Hell Comes to Haddonfield, which is essentially just Halloween 2. Start to stop Halloween 2. Picking up where Halloween 1 left off and ending where Halloween 2 ends. It's actually, for what it is, it's pretty good. It follows that storyline almost to a T. And you get quite a few different versions of Michael Myers in this. And you even get a Loomis, which is great, because in the ones that I've been in, I've never actually seen someone playing Loomis. So you walk in, that first scene is Loomis shooting Michael Myers right out the window. And then it goes on and moves into the hospital, and you get pretty much you see all those iconic kills from Halloween 2. Not really all that scary, but
it wasn't scary, but it wasn't a horrible house. I mean, it wasn't my favorite by any means, but it wasn't bad either.
So a thumbs up for that one too. The next one is Krampus, which is I think that was the second to last one we went into. No, it was the third.
It was third to last
one. I haven't seen Krampus.
Either have I.
So I really, again, I don't have any context to base that one off of, but there were a few scenes that were actually pretty funny more than frightening.
The kitchen scene was great.
The kitchen scene with all the little gingerbread men. Of course, you can't really achieve a whole lot of movement in a maze like that, but you do. I mean, you see a lot of them, and they're swinging from the fan.
There's just a lot of detail. I mean, one thing Universal is capable of is the detail, and I mean, they even had in the kitchen sink the gingerbread spinning around, in the garbage disposal. So they really achieved that. But I've never seen Krampus, so I've nothing to go on.
Yeah, I mean, there is like like Michelle said, there is a lot of detail. It feels like Christmas in that house.
It was nice and refreshing to have it be nice and icy cold in there. But...
Yeah, it was because it was really humid today. But you actually only see Krampus twice. The first time you see him, he's up on the roof of a house when you change between scenes, when you go from one house to the other. But he's not moving, he's just a stationary prop. And then you see him at the end, but you only see him if you're looking at the right way, and the actor playing the part actually jumps out at you. I only saw him for a brief second before he went back around the corner where he was, so most of the other jump scares we got were all people dressed as his little minions, which are just
minions or elves or whatever they were.
Yeah, it was just regular sized people with these enlarged head masks. So I mean, it wasn't bad, but if I had missed it,
it's not really Halloween-y. It's like, I don't know what it was.
I mean, if we had missed it, I wouldn't have really cared that much. Next will be Lunatics Playground 3D. It's this year's 3D maze, so you do get your glasses. Like I think it was Alice in Wonderland last year that we saw. I can't remember.
I don't remember last year's 3D. I
but
remember Alice in Wonderland last year.
It's pretty much the same thing. It's a lot of fluorescent colors. It's like an old.
I like this one. It is not, in my opinion, Halloween, but like he said, it's like an old fun house. I like this one.
Yeah, you get your.
It's not scary.
You get your spinning tunnel, which causes vertigo.
It's totally psychedelic.
It's one of the best lit ones besides maybe Krampus. I mean, you can see everything, and you run into Chance, which is this year's mascot. You run into her quite a bit.
And it's by far the slowest moving one because you can't go through it fast, so they can't rush you through it.
Yeah, it's very close quarters. I can't really think of anything else to really say about it. I mean, it was fun, but there wasn't.
It's fun, it's brightly lit, and it totally plays with your senses because of the 3D. And I mean, everything. I don't know how many gazillion times I bumped into the walls because you can't. Everything is so close to you, and the way they created the house around it, it's just, I don't know, it was pretty cool. It was very, I guess, psychotic in a way. I enjoyed it.
Next
I guess I'm crazy.
Yeah. Next is Ghost Town: The Curse of Lightning Gulch. This was the first one we went into. Yeah, as one of their original IPs, it's not really. They're always hit or miss. This time it was very miss because there were so many dead areas where there was either not a jump scare or there was nothing going on visually. And the only thing I can actually remember is when we got to the saloon, because the saloon was a big set piece. It was 2 floors.
Yeah, but the characters just... It's like they had this... When they're doing their acting part, they're waiting too long in between. Like, you hear them say their lines or do their part, and then... That's it. Like, you would never see them do their part. By the time you got through it, you'd hear, it was a horrible setup. It was.
And basically, the thing that the actors are all doing is they're all just shooting at you, and there's puffs of air, and that's pretty much it. And they just look like they're, they look like they kind of fell out of out of Phantom Manor in Euro Disney or in Disneyland Paris. That's all it really looked like. That seemed like that was the theme they went for. I mean, it's very similar and themed. And it's just, it's not memorable at all. And the last one, the last of the mazes anyway, is Tomb of the Ancients, which again is another claustrophobic maze, but also almost completely forgettable.
Yeah.
Another
thumbs down.
the only thing I could really remember is the shifting floors, because I almost fell once.
And the light up hieroglyphics thing that they did was neat, and that reptile dinosaur, which you almost missed because you don't even, if you look the wrong way, you miss it.
That seems to be a theme we saw in the architecture of quite a few of these mazes, is if they have a big monster, they will put it in almost a U-turn, where they're expecting the guests to see it as they turn left, but it's such a sharp turn, and the little slot where the creature effect is, you don't see it unless you're actually really looking for it. It's something that happened, I think, only one time in American Werewolf in London, where they stuck one of the werewolves in one of those U-turns, but the thing was, you got to see that werewolf like 5 or 6 other times. Here you see, like, even Reagan doing the spider walk down the stairs, it was in the exact same thing. It was in a U-turn where you don't see it unless you really look. Because if you come around the corner and the prop isn't lit, you're not going to see it. You're not going to notice it. And it was the same with a lot of things. I only caught a very brief glimpse of that weird crocodile T-Rex thing.
And one thing that irritates me is, and I know we were there for a media event, but they rush you so much through the houses, and you pay so much money to go to these events. You should be able to enjoy your experience. You've waited in line for so long. I mean, let the person enjoy the event. It drives me crazy.
I don't think that's so much the staff themselves as it is the people that are in front of you or in back of you. Because if you have people that are just pushing through, which probably a lot of us,
well, a lot of the staff in the house, they're like, come on, come on, come on. They're like always waving you through the houses, and I'm just like, just calm yourself over there. Like, it's not like I'm walking slowly, I'm walking at a normal pace. So, but anyways, the houses were great. The scare zones were pretty decent this year going through the park.
Yeah,
they were better.
The one we didn't see, or the two that we didn't see the Lair of the Banshee that's in, I think, Central Park, and Vamp 55 is where Mel's Diner is, because we just didn't go that way during our tour. But the one that really stood out would be Dead Man's Wharf, which is basically a takeoff of John Carpenter's The Fog. They actually have a wrecked ship on land right in front of where the earthquake ride used to be. And you have a bunch of guys in oilskins walking around all barnacle-faced and whatnot, and a lot of heavy fog. So it's a lot like that leper crew from that movie. And actually, they could have really rethemed it and made it The Fog if they had access to that license. And you could have had voiceover from Adrienne Barbeau, and you could have made it a fog attraction, because it would have worked pretty well as that. And I mean, the makeup effects were pretty good.
They were awesome, and the characters were doing a great job at walking right behind attendees and scaring the crap out of them.
There are 2 shows that were going on this year. The one that we heard about during the press event first was the Academy of Villains House of Fear, which I guess is a bunch of performance art, but we didn't get to see that. But what we did get to see, of course, as we always get to see, is Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure, which this year
was...
Go ahead.
Absolutely horrible.
Which you think it's horrible this year. I think it was actually better than the one last year, even though John Landis was sitting right in front of us and we got to see a bunch of half-naked women dance Thriller in front of the man who directed Thriller, which is kind of cool. But the theme was a little bit better because it was more focused. I mean, it was basically Bill and Ted end up on Starkiller Base with Kylo Ren, and he's basically a younger version of Dark Helmet. He looks like Rick Moranis. They even make a reference to that. The choreography was pretty good for the dancers. They did most of the obligatory jokes you would expect. You have Hillary jokes, you have Trump jokes, you have, I can't remember because it's so, it never really sticks with you that well. You only really remember the visual things. Like during the end, they do a tribute to both Prince and David Bowie. So you have the female dancers. The one female dancer came out as Prince and just stayed. That was all they did for Prince, was have her and Prince's guitar. Mm-hmm. But then you had old Major Tom, David Bowie, and then you had the Goblin King, David Bowie, which was probably the best outfit.
Yeah.
With the crystal ball and all. And
it was just too all over the place. It was just.
It's very topical, and for if you don't really care about topical humor, you're just kind of like, eh. And what really threw me off this year is that the guy playing Ted is a different guy than we've always seen playing Ted. He's horrible. He sounded too much like Bill. He didn't actually sound like Keanu Reeves' Ted. He was really skinny. It just really threw you off because like that's not the guy. That's not the guy that's always been doing this. So that was about it. I mean, if you don't have time to see it, I really wouldn't blame you for not seeing it. But if that's your type of humor, then you're probably going to enjoy it because it hits all those even stuff that happened just like a week ago. They managed to fit in. And yes, there's a Ghostbusters joke which I groaned at because I'm just over it at this point. So.
And even the mom with the Wookiee mask.
The Wookiee mask, yeah. No more of that. So anyway, that's it. If you're in Orlando or if you're in the Central Florida region, then I would definitely suggest seeing it. The good mazes really outweighed the bad this year. Sometimes it's a toss up, and sometimes you get like a bunch of IPs that are just kind of eh. But this year, I mean, it's almost all of them are good with the exception of 2.
Definitely great houses this year. It was good.
All right, so that's all we're gonna do. It's 1:30. I want to go to sleep.
Definitely wear comfortable shoes.
Yeah, we're comfortable shoes. We're sensible shoes, people. Don't wear high heels. I saw some high heels. I saw some really flat sandals, and I don't know how those women how their arches are not like
comfortable
completely flat.
Shoes and light clothing because it is hot.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hot. So that's everything, and have a good one.
And happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.